Speaking of Michigan, yesterday, hundreds of people, as Joe said, protested outside the state capitol building in Lansing, calling for an end to the state's extended stay-at-home order. Dozens of demonstrators chanting, "Let us in," managed to push inside the state capitol. Several protesters even tried to reach the House floor, where lawmakers were debating an extension of Governor Gretchen Whitmer's state of emergency. Many of them were armed. A state police spokesman told NBC News it is legal in Michigan to carry firearms as long as it is done with lawful intent and the weapon is visible. Local Senator Dana Polhanke was there and tweeted this photograph praising the sergeants at arms who were blocking protesters from getting in. Lawmakers have decided not to extend the state of emergency for 28 days, which removes the ability for Governor Whitmer to use her emergency powers to use executive orders during a crisis. Reverend Sharpton, stunning images out of the state of Michigan. We should say again what we've been saying for a couple of weeks, that this is a very small group of protesters. Most gun owners I talked to yesterday, most gun owners on social media said they would never carry an AR-15 and try to break in to the legislature in their state capital. But there you have it. Those are the protesters who Donald Trump once said, let's liberate the state.
Nor have we heard the president denounce these armed protesters and hear the real outrage of people armed going to the state capitol to confront legislators. First of all, we're talking about the preserving of life. These governors that have had a stay-home order are doing it for our health. We're not talking about them doing something punitive. They're doing something that would be preventive of people getting very sick or, in fact, facing death, because we're still having thousands of people die. We're looking at 63,000 American deaths. But I can only imagine, Joe and Mika and Willie, imagine if that had been protesters on the left going to a state capitol armed, or black protesters. There would have been a much different reaction. Where are those that would be calling for people that would have to denounce them as rioters and be mass arrests? So the tolerance of this kind of behavior in the face of what they're protesting is something amazing to me.
Well, I mean, carrying AR-15s into state capitals,
oh my gosh.
Protesting provisions that the White House themselves, White House medical professionals themselves said were necessary to save lives. This is a unique look from a president who claims to be in charge of the party of life, talking about, quote, liberating Michigan. It's another bad mistake, though, because as we look at this small group, as we look at this extreme group of people, just to let you know how isolated they are, I'm reading from David Brooks' column today. America is united right now. In an ABC News Ipsos poll, 98% of Democrats, 82% of Republicans support social distancing rules. That's about 9 in 10. According to a Yahoo News YouGov survey, 90% of Americans think a second wave of the virus would at least somewhat be likely if the lockdowns were ended today. A Pew survey found 89%, 9 in 10, of Republicans and Democrats support the bipartisan federal aid packages. According to a USA Today poll, increased testing supported by 90%. Temporary halting of immigration supported by almost 80%. Continuing to lock down through the end of April, almost 70%. So, Susan Del Percio, you could go through all of these poll numbers. We've talked about it for some time. Donald Trump is trying to create a wedge issue out of the pandemic. Some of Donald Trump's supporters online in the media are trying to create a wedge issue out of this pandemic that has killed 63,000 people. You can't have you can't declare a cultural war against a pandemic because, well, the pandemic always wins. And here we have it again yesterday in a way that's not going to help Donald Trump.
No, it's not. And it reminds me of the scene in Jaws, Joe, when the mayor demands that the beaches be open on the 4th of July. People are all out there. They're afraid to go in. But finally, this brave family goes in and nothing happens. So everyone else goes in. But what happens? The shark's next door in the shallow cove. And that's what I think we're going to see happen as these states open up. People are going to think it's okay to go out there, and they're going to go further than they should. And we're going to see this virus come back with a vengeance. It's just set up for that. The president, if he wants to, quote, win this war, he should make sure people stay healthy. He should not be encouraging people to open up their states. He should encourage them to follow what Dr. Fauci and others are saying.
And guys, I just want to remind everyone how quickly this has moved. You pointed out it is May 1st. Let's look back at a few milestones. On March the 1st, this is NBC News tally. The U.S. cases, 89 on March the 1st of coronavirus. On April 1st, 213,786. This morning, as we see here on May the 1st, nearly 1.1 million cases of coronavirus. That's in 2 months to go from 89 to 1.1 million. So that's just how quickly this can take off. It's how quickly this can spread without social distancing. And that's the point that Dr. Fauci was trying to make. We've said 1,000 times on this show, guys, we are incredibly sensitive to getting people back to work. We know everyone. We have family members, friends who are worried about their small businesses. Everybody wants to be back at their job, but you got to find that balance of going back safely.
Well, you know, and the thing is, let me just repeat it again. All we're saying here is listen to Dr. Fauci. Listen to Dr.
Right.
Birx. Listen to the guidelines put forward, not by Nancy Pelosi, not by Chuck Schumer, not by left-wingers, right? Not by the Biden campaign, but by the Trump White House. If they would just follow the guidelines that were put forward by the Trump White House, you know, we would see, I think, America begin to safely go back to work, try to avoid that second big wave. But again, Donald Trump puts down the guidelines and then can't stay out of his own way. He starts talking about liberating Michigan. At the same time, he's criticizing other states that are opening up. So, Mika, there is no consistency. And as always, Donald Trump always tries to make this pandemic about himself.
Thanks for checking out MSNBC on YouTube, and make sure you subscribe to stay up to date on the day's biggest stories. And you can click on any of the videos around us to watch more from Morning Joe and MSNBC. Thanks so much for watching.